Costco quietly reformulated several of their most popular frozen comfort foods over the past 2 years, and longtime customers are furious. What used to be reliable family dinner solutions have become overpriced disappointments that'll have you questioning why you ever trusted warehouse store convenience food. I just spent 4 weeks and $400 buying every major frozen comfort food in Costco's freezer aisles, testing them at different times from different locations, and diving deep into the reformulation scandals that most shoppers never hear about. What I discovered will completely change how you navigate those freezer cases, and possibly save you from some serious dinner disasters. Costco's frozen meals have faced growing complaints of declining quality through reformulations, price hikes of 20 to 100%, and safety issues like recalls for glass or wood contamination. We're talking about once reliable staples that now suffer from mushy textures, bland flavors, and higher sodium content that's eroding their bulk value appeal for busy families. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which frozen meals have been ruined by corporate cost-cutting, which ones are still worth clearing freezer space for, and why that famous Costco value proposition might not be what it used to be when it comes to convenience food. Let's start with the frozen meals that should come with warning labels. Number 7. El Monterey Chicken Taquitos. The doughy disaster. Taking our 7th spot, our taquitos that prove sometimes the cheapest option is actually the most expensive mistake you can make. At first glance, El Monterey Taquitos seem like a win. Cheap per unit, easy to cook, and kids love anything that looks like a mini burrito. But bite into one of these, and you'll immediately understand why Reddit users are begging people to skip them entirely. The research shows these rank dead last among Costco frozen meals, described as salty mush with sparse chicken filling that's been overwhelmed by sodium and preservatives. The tortilla to filling ratio is insulting. You're getting what feels like 80% doughy tortilla wrapped around a microscopic amount of what they generously call chicken filling. The sodium content hits 1,400 milligrams per serving, which is nearly your entire daily recommended intake in what's supposed to be a snack. But here's what makes this particularly frustrating. Even when you dress these up with salsa, sour cream, and guacamole, they still taste like disappointment wrapped in more disappointment. Multiple customers report throwing away entire boxes because even their kids wouldn't finish them. The texture is where these really fall apart. Literally. The tortillas become soggy and mushy during cooking while somehow remaining doughy and undercooked in spots. It's like they achieved every possible bad texture simultaneously. You're paying for what amounts to expensive cardboard tubes with a hint of processed chicken flavor and enough sodium to make your blood pressure monitor nervous. Number 6. Real Good Foods Enchiladas, the funky cheese nightmare. Moving up to number 6. We have low-carb entrees that prove sometimes healthy alternatives can be unhealthily bad. Real Goods enchiladas arrive with promises of low-carb comfort food that fits your diet goals. What they deliver is what the research consistently describes as fake taste, with funky cheese that doesn't resemble any cheese that should exist in nature. The cheese is the main villain here. Multiple reviewers mention a funky cheese flavor that's not just bland, it's actively off-putting, with an artificial tang that makes you wonder what exactly you're eating. It's like someone described cheese to a computer and asked it to recreate the experience using only chemicals. The meat filling has a processed texture that feels more like textured protein than actual beef or chicken. Combined with the questionable cheese, you get a flavor profile that Reddit users describe as leaving lingering odors that make you regret your dinner choices. But here's the real kicker. These are positioned as healthy alternatives to traditional comfort food. Instead, you're getting comfort food that's neither comforting nor particularly healthy. Just expensive and disappointing, with a watery texture that suggests serious shortcuts in the preparation process. The low-carb promise isn't worth the taste sacrifice. You'd be better off eating smaller portions of real food than full portions of whatever these are supposed to be. At around $18 per package, you're paying premium prices for what amounts to diet food that makes you miss regular enchiladas. Number 5. Kirkland Chicken Pot Pie, the price-quality crash. At number 5, we have a meal that perfectly illustrates how reformulation can ruin a good thing. Kirkland's Chicken Pot Pie used to be a customer favorite, but according to the research, it now suffers from a price-quality crash that has longtime customers feeling betrayed. The price tells the story of corporate greed disguised as inflation adjustment. These pot pies used to cost around $15. They now retail for $30, a 100% price increase that coincided with noticeable quality decline. You're paying twice as much for a product that's become demonstrably worse. The vegetables are now consistently described as mushy, rather than the tender, crisp texture that made these pot pies special. The gravy has become what multiple reviewers call gluey rather than creamy, and the overall eating experience feels more like consuming calories than enjoying a meal. But here's what makes this particularly frustrating for families. Pot pie is supposed to be foolproof comfort food. Chicken, vegetables, gravy, and pastry combined in a way that's almost impossible to mess up. The fact that Costco managed to ruin this basic combination suggests serious shortcuts in ingredient quality and preparation methods. Reddit users report that even kids who normally love cheesy, creamy foods leave these pot pies half-finished on their plates. When children who will eat almost anything with cheese reject your product, that tells you everything you need to know about the reformulation failure. At $30 per package, you could buy ingredients to make your own pot pie with better results, or visit most restaurants and get fresh-made comfort food that actually tastes comforting. Number 4. Kevin's Beef Tips, the additive creep. Taking the number 4 spot is a meal that represents everything wrong with healthy convenience food reformulation. Kevin's Natural Foods beef tips used to be positioned as a cleaner alternative to heavily processed frozen meals. According to the research, they now suffer from additive creep that has compromised both nutrition and flavor. The reformulation has introduced preservatives and artificial ingredients that weren't in the original formula, moving this product away from the natural positioning that made it appealing to health-conscious families. You're paying premium prices for what's become just another processed frozen meal with marketing that doesn't match the ingredient reality. The sodium content has increased significantly while the actual beef content appears to have decreased. Multiple reviewers note that the meat has a processed texture that suggests heavy use of fillers and binding agents rather than actual beef tips. But here's what's particularly misleading about this reformulation. The packaging and marketing still emphasize natural and clean ingredients, while the actual product has moved toward the heavily processed category. You're paying for a health halo that no longer reflects the actual food quality. The flavor has become what customers describe as artificial, with an aftertaste that lingers in unpleasant ways. For a product that's supposed to be a healthier alternative to traditional frozen meals, this represents a complete failure of the brand promise. At $22 per package, you're paying premium prices for what's become a mid-tier processed meal disguised as health food. Number 3. Kirkland Breakfast Sandwich, the sodium bomb. Moving into our top tier of disappointment at number 3, we have breakfast sandwiches that will make you question everything you know about starting your day right. Kirkland breakfast sandwiches contain what the research calls coma-level sodium, 1,300 milligrams per serving, which is more than half your daily recommended intake in what's supposed to be just one meal. But the sodium overload is just the beginning of the problems. The research indicates these sandwiches have suffered a nutritional hit post-reformulation with changes that have made an already questionable breakfast option even worse for your health. The texture issues are where these really fail. The English muffin becomes soggy during heating, while the egg develops a rubbery consistency that suggests it's been processed beyond recognition. The cheese doesn't melt properly, creating pockets of artificial-tasting dairy product that don't integrate with the other components. Multiple customers report feeling sluggish and thirsty after eating these sandwiches, which makes sense when you consider you've just consumed more than half a day's worth of sodium before 9 a.m. This isn't breakfast, it's a salt delivery system disguised as convenience food. But here's what makes this particularly problematic for busy families. Breakfast is supposed to fuel your day, not leave you feeling dehydrated and sluggish. These sandwiches achieve the opposite of what breakfast should accomplish, creating an energy crash rather than sustained morning fuel. For the same price and time investment, you could make actual breakfast sandwiches with fresh ingredients and a fraction of the sodium content. Number 2. Cafe Dasheen Beef Broccoli, the texture fail. Coming in at number 2 is a meal that proves some cuisines should never be attempted in a factory freezer. Cafe Dasheen Beef Broccoli commits what the research calls a texture fail that makes this Asian-inspired dish almost inedible. The beef arrives with what customers consistently describe as a rubbery texture that suggests heavy processing and poor cooking methods. Instead of tender beef that absorbs the sauce flavors, you get protein that bounces back when you bite it, creating an unpleasant eating experience that makes you appreciate how good even mediocre takeout can be. The broccoli suffers from the opposite problem. It becomes mushy and overcooked during the heating process, losing any structural integrity and turning into green mush that bears little resemblance to actual vegetables. The contrast between rubbery beef and mushy vegetables creates a texture combination that's actively unpleasant. But here's what makes this particularly frustrating for families who want to introduce kids to different cuisines. This meal is so far from authentic Chinese food that it's almost offensive to the cuisine it's supposed to represent. You're not exposing your family to new flavors. You're teaching them that Chinese food is rubbery and bland. The sauce lacks any complexity or depth, tasting like someone mixed soy sauce with cornstarch and called it Asian cuisine. There's no ginger brightness, no garlic complexity, no balance of sweet and savory that makes good Chinese food appealing. At $20 per package, you could get real Chinese takeout that would remind your family why this cuisine is beloved worldwide, instead of this frozen disappointment that makes Chinese food seem unappealing. Number 1. Bibigo Chicken Rice Bowl, the bland imposter. Taking the top spot for frozen meals you should absolutely avoid is a dish that will make you question whether Korean food is supposed to have any flavor at all. According to the research, Bibigo chicken rice bowls suffer from bland rice and rubber chicken that creates an eating experience so disappointing it makes you appreciate how good even basic takeout can be. The chicken has that processed rubbery texture that suggests it's been through multiple industrial processes before ending up in your microwave. Bite into it and you get that unsettling bounce back that tells you this isn't quite natural chicken anymore. The rice, which should be the foundation of any good Korean bowl, is described as bland and lacking any of the subtle seasoning that makes Korean cuisine special. Instead of rice that complements and absorbs the other flavors, you get what tastes like plain white rice that's been sitting under heat lamps too long. The sauce is watery and lacks the depth that makes Korean dishes special. There's no gochujang heat, no fermented complexity, no balance of flavors that would make this an authentic representation of Korean cuisine. Multiple Reddit users report that this bowl needs fixes to be edible, requiring additional seasoning, sauce, and vegetables just to make it palatable. When a frozen meal requires you to essentially remake it from scratch, that defeats the entire purpose of convenience food. At $15 per package, you're paying for what amounts to expensive disappointment that will make your family think Korean food is boring and flavorless. Before we reveal the 3 Costco frozen meals that are actually still worth your money, I want to thank you for watching this far. If this investigation is helping you avoid frozen food disasters, hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps more people discover these grocery store deep dives, and it lets me know you want more content that saves you money and prevents dinner disappointment. Now let's talk about the 3 frozen meals that Costco still gets right. Number 3. Kirkland Cheese Pizza, the decent dupe. Taking third place is a pizza that proves sometimes simple is better. While the research notes it has a gummy crust versus old flaky version, it still ranks as a decent food court dupe that delivers reliable results for families. At $14 per package, you're getting pizza that feeds multiple people and tastes like what pizza should taste like. Not amazing, but not disappointing either. The cheese melts properly, the sauce has actual tomato flavor, and the crust, while not perfect, holds together and provides a satisfying base. What makes this pizza work is that it doesn't try to be something it's not. It's frozen pizza that tastes like frozen pizza, not some engineered approximation of restaurant quality. The expectations are clear, and the product delivers on those expectations consistently. Multiple families report this as a reliable backup dinner option that kids actually enjoy and adults can tolerate. In the world of frozen convenience food, that's actually a significant achievement. Number 2. Ajinomoto Yakitori rice, the recall survivor. Moving up to second place is a meal that the research describes as good quality. Recall aside, despite the glass contamination recall that temporarily removed it from shelves, this rice bowl represents what Costco frozen meals can be when they focus on quality over cost cutting. When available and safe, this meal delivers authentic flavors and proper textures that make it worth seeking out. The rice maintains its structure during heating. The chicken has natural texture rather than processed bounce, and the sauce provides the kind of complex flavor that makes Japanese cuisine appealing. The recall was a serious safety issue that can't be ignored, but it appears to have been a contamination problem rather than a fundamental quality issue with the recipe itself. Multiple customers report that when this product is available and safe, it's one of the best frozen Asian meals they've tried. At $18 per package, it's more expensive than disappointing alternatives, but the quality justifies the price when you can actually trust the safety standards. Number 1. Kirkland sausage and beef lasagna, the hearty winner. Taking the undisputed top spot is a meal that proves Costco can still deliver exceptional value when they resist the urge to reformulate success. According to the research, this lasagna remains a hearty winner despite minor meat sparsity that doesn't significantly impact the overall eating experience. This lasagna succeeds because it focuses on what makes lasagna good: layers of pasta, cheese, meat, and sauce that work together to create comfort food that actually comforts. The cheese melts properly, the sauce has depth and richness, and the meat provides satisfying protein without tasting processed. At $20 per package, you're getting a meal that feeds 6 to 8 people with restaurant-quality results. Multiple families report this as their go-to solution for busy weeknight dinners, Sunday meal prep, and feeding crowds without breaking the budget. What makes this lasagna special is its consistency. Whether you buy it in California or Connecticut, whether you cook it on Tuesday or Saturday, it delivers the same excellent results every time. That kind of quality control is rare in frozen foods. Reddit users consistently rank this as one of Costco's best frozen meal values, with many customers buying multiple trays to freeze for future meals. When frozen food enthusiasts are stockpiling your product, that's a clear quality indicator. After 4 weeks of testing and analyzing customer feedback, here's what Costco's frozen meal reformulations reveal about their priorities. The company has systematically chosen short-term profit margins over the long-term customer loyalty that built their reputation. The reformulated disasters on our list prove that corporate cost-cutting can ruin perfectly good products. When you take successful frozen meals and swap quality ingredients for cheaper alternatives while raising prices, you're essentially betting that customers won't notice or won't care enough to change their shopping habits. But the winners show that Costco still knows how to make quality frozen food when they choose to prioritize customer satisfaction over profit maximization. The lasagna succeeds because they've resisted the urge to reformulate it into mediocrity. The safety recalls reveal a more serious problem with supplier oversight and quality control systems. When customers are finding glass, wood, and bacterial contamination in products that should be safe for families, that suggests systemic problems that go beyond individual product issues. Your freezer space is valuable, and your family dinners deserve better than reformulated disappointments disguised as convenience food. The price increases of 20 to 100% aren't justified by inflation. They're profit grabs that coincide with quality decline. Stick to the proven winners like the lasagna. Avoid the reformulated disasters, and remember, sometimes paying a little more for quality saves you money in the long run when you're not throwing away inedible meals. If this ranking helped you navigate Costco's frozen food maze, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more warehouse store investigations that'll save you time, money, and dinner disappointment. The truth about Costco's frozen meal empire is that convenience doesn't have to mean compromise, but corporate cost cutting often makes that choice for you. Now you know which products still deserve your trust and which ones represent everything wrong with reformulation culture in the food industry.